Imagine a foggy morning in coastal Maine, where the world feels hushed and the only sound is the distant crash of waves. At a small civilian shooting range, tucked between pine trees and rocky cliffs, a woman steps into the farthest lane. She's unremarkable at first glance. Faded jeans, a gray jacket, a baseball cap pulled low. But in moments, she'll turn this quiet range into the center of a mystery that will shake a small town to its core. If stories like this speak to you, hit the like button and subscribe. There's more to come. Her name, though no one knows it yet, is Commander Sarah Mitchell. She carries a long case, moving with a quiet purpose that doesn't demand attention but somehow holds it. The range safety officer, Tom Bradley, watches from his booth, his coffee steaming in the chilly air. 30 years in the Navy, followed by a decade running this range, have given him a knack for reading people. Hunters, weekend warriors, competitive shooters. He can peg them in seconds. But this woman, she doesn't fit any mold. She sets up her rifle with movements so precise they seem choreographed, each motion deliberate, practiced, almost sacred. Her first shots ring out and Tom's eyes narrow. Center mass, every time at distances that make seasoned marksmen sweat. She switches to targets farther out. 200 yards, 300, 500 without touching her scope. Impossible shots. Yet her bullets find their mark like they're guided by something more than skill. Tom notices her breathing, a slow, 4-count inhale, a steady hold, an exhale as the trigger pulls. It's not just training, it's mastery. A nervous shooter, a local named Ed, sidles up to Tom's booth. That woman at the end, she's hitting targets no one should hit with that setup. She didn't show a badge either. Tom glances over, his gut stirring. Ed's right, no ID badge, no chatter, just eerie precision. 20 minutes later, 2 local deputies arrive, their boots crunching on gravel. "Ma'am, we need your ID and permit," the older one says, hand near his holster. Sarah turns, her hands visible, her face calm. "Is there a problem, officer?" "ID and permit." "Please, I don't have them with me," she says, her voice steady, betraying nothing. A quick search turns up no wallet, no phone, just a blank key card and a notebook with cryptic numbers that could be anything from coordinates to a grocery list. "You're coming with us, ma'am." She doesn't resist as they cuff her, her wrists relaxed, her eyes scanning the horizon. Trees, road, distant mountains. Like she's solving a puzzle no one else can see. The deputies exchange uneasy glances. Her silence isn't defiance, it's something deeper. Something that makes their routine arrest feel anything but. At the sheriff's office in Harbor Point, a sleepy town of 3,000, the booking process begins. Name, silence. Address? Nothing. You know refusing to identify is a crime, right? Sarah meets the officer's gaze, her eyes calm but unyielding. Detective James Carter takes over, trying every trick in the book, friendly small talk, veiled threats, promises of leniency. She listens politely, says nothing. A deputy jokes, maybe she's a spy. The room laughs, but James isn't so sure. Alone in her cell, Sarah's demeanor shifts subtly. Her eyes trace the room. Cameras, blind spots, guard rotations. Through the barred window, she studies the building's layout, noting exits, memorizing patterns. James watches her through a monitor, his curiosity growing. She's not nervous. She's calculating. A rookie officer brings her water. As she takes the cup, her sleeve slips, revealing a faint scar on her wrist. Jagged, precise, the kind left by rope burns from high-stakes training. "Interesting scar," the officer says. "Climbing mishap," Sarah replies, her first words in hours. Her voice is soft but carries a weight that lingers. James catches the exchange, his mind racing. This isn't just a drifter with a rifle. She's someone, or something, else entirely. As the sun dips below the harbor, the public defender arrives, frazzled and overworked. "You're making this harder than it needs to be," he tells her. They're throwing around words like terrorism. That weapon's unregistered. Sarah sits quietly, her hands folded, her expression unreadable. James watches from the hall, struck by her calm. It's not the bravado of a criminal or the panic of the guilty. It's the patience of someone who knows the game isn't over. As they prepare her for arraignment, she glances toward the harbor, where a Navy ship looms faintly in the distance. For a split second, her eyes flicker with something, recognition, maybe, or resolve. James follows her gaze, wondering what he's missing. Tomorrow, in a courtroom older than the town itself, everything will change. But for now, Sarah Mitchell waits. A shadow among shadows, her silence louder than any confession. The Harbor Point Sheriff's Office smells of stale coffee and damp wood, its fluorescent lights buzzing faintly as night settles over the town. Sarah Mitchell sits in a holding cell, her orange jumpsuit a stark contrast to the faded jeans she wore hours ago. Her hands rest lightly on her knees, her posture straight but not rigid, like a soldier at ease who could spring into action in an instant. Detective James Carter leans against the booking desk, flipping through her file, or what little there is of it. No ID, no prints in the system, just a notebook with numbers that don't add up in a rifle that doesn't exist in any registry. He's seen his share of mysteries in 15 years on the job, but this woman is a puzzle with no edges. He tries again in the interrogation room, pulling up a chair across from her. Look, Sarah, or whatever your name is, help me out here. Give me a name, a story, anything. I can make this easier for you. Her eyes meet his, steady and clear, but she says nothing. He shifts tactics, leaning back, casual. You're from around here? Maybe you got family worried about you. Silence. He tries a harder edge. Federal charges are no joke. Unregistered weapons, refusing to identify. You're looking at serious time. Still, she doesn't flinch. Her breathing even. Her gaze unwavering. It's not defiance, it's discipline, and it's driving him up the wall. Back at the desk, Sheriff Laura Daniels joins him, her arms crossed. Prints came back empty, she says. State and local databases have nothing. James rubs his temples. Try federal. Systems down till morning, she replies. Tech issues. He glances at Sarah through the cell window. She's studying the room again, her eyes lingering on the camera's red light, then shifting to the hallway door. It's not random. She's mapping the place, like she's done this before. A memory tugs at him. A training seminar years ago about special operators, how they blend in, how they think 3 steps ahead. He shakes it off. That's crazy. She's just a loner with a gun, isn't she? The rookie officer, Tim, pipes up. That scar on her wrist. I've seen marks like that on guys who did rappelling in the Marines. James frowns. You sure? Tim shrugs. Looked like it. Said it was a climbing accident, but I don't buy it. James files that away, his unease growing. He decides to try one last time before the arraignment tomorrow. In the interrogation room, he slides a photo of the rifle across the table. This isn't something you pick up at a gun show. Where'd you get it? Sarah glances at the photo, then back at him, her expression neutral. For the first time, she speaks, her voice low and measured. It's not mine. James blinks, caught off guard. Then whose is it? She leans back slightly, her silence returning like a door closing. He slams the table, frustration boiling over. You're not helping yourself here. She doesn't react, her calm almost infuriating. Back in the bullpen, the deputies are buzzing. Russian spy. One jokes, bet she's ex-CIA. Another chimes in. James ignores them, his mind on that scar, those coordinates, her eerie composure. He pulls Sheriff Daniels aside. Laura, what if she's not a criminal? What if she's something else? Like what? A Fed. Military. Daniels scoffs. She'd have said something by now. Would she? James counters. If her orders were to stay quiet, no matter what. Daniels hesitates, then shakes her head. You're reaching, James. She's just good at playing tough. Get some rest. We've got court in the morning. But James can't let it go. He spends the night at his desk, digging through old case files, looking for anything that matches. Woman with no identity, a weapon with no trace. Nothing fits. By dawn, he's bleary-eyed but no closer to answers. As they escort Sarah to the courthouse van, he notices her glance at the harbor again, her eyes locking on that distant Navy ship. It's subtle, but it's there. A flicker of something that feels like purpose. At the courthouse, the public defender, a harried man named Greg, is losing patience. I've got no case if you don't talk, he tells Sarah as they wait in a holding room. They're pushing terrorism charges now. You want to spend your life in a federal pen. Sarah sits calmly, her hands cuffed, her eyes fixed on the wall. Greg throws up his hands. Fine. Plead not guilty and we'll figure it out. James watches from the hallway, his gut telling him this isn't over. The courtroom is packed, locals, reporters, and a few men in suits who don't belong. They're too still, too watchful, like predators in a room of prey. James feels the air shift, a tension he can't name. Sarah is led to the defendant's table, her orange jumpsuit stark against the polished wood. Judge Margaret Pierce, a no-nonsense veteran of the bench, looks irritated as she scans the docket. The public defender stands. Your Honor, I request a continuance. My client's been uncooperative, and I need time to prepare. A man in a suit rises from the gallery. Your Honor, Special Agent Reynolds, Homeland Security. We request immediate transfer to federal custody. Another suit stands. FBI, Your Honor. We believe this ties to an ongoing investigation. The judge bangs her gavel. Enough. This is my courtroom. We'll proceed with the arraignment, then I'll hear your arguments. James leans forward, his heart racing. Something big is coming. He can feel it. Sarah sits motionless, her eyes forward, her calm unshaken. But in the back of the room, the heavy oak doors creak open, and a new figure steps inside, about to change everything. The Harbor Point Courthouse, with its creaking benches and faded grandeur, feels like a theater holding its breath. Sarah Mitchell sits at the defendant's table, her orange jumpsuit a jarring contrast to the room's muted tones. The gallery is a sea of whispers, locals craving gossip, reporters scribbling notes, and those men in suits, their eyes like hawks. Detective James Carter watches from the front row, his notepad untouched, his instincts screaming that this isn't a routine case. The charges are possession of an unregistered firearm, refusal to identify, suspected terrorist activity. Sarah's face remains a mask, her posture perfect, as if she's somewhere else entirely. Judge Margaret Pierce, her glasses perched low, asks, how does the defendant plead? The public defender, Greg, opens his mouth, but before he can speak, the oak doors at the back swing open with a heavy groan. Every head turns. A Navy Admiral steps inside, his dress uniform crisp, medals gleaming under the lights. Two officers flank him, their faces unreadable. The room falls silent, the air thick with awe. Veterans in the gallery, old men with VFW caps, stand instinctively, their hands snapping to their sides. Even Judge Pierce straightens, her irritation replaced by curiosity. The Admiral strides down the center aisle, his steps measured, commanding. James feels his pulse quicken. Who is this guy, and what does he want with her? The Admiral hands a sealed envelope to the bailiff, who passes it to the judge. Margaret breaks the seal, her eyes scanning the pages. Her face changes, first surprise, then a grave understanding. She looks up, her voice steady but softer now. In light of this documentation from the Department of Defense, all charges against the defendant are dismissed. This case is classified as a matter of national security. Court adjourned. The gavel falls, sharp and final. The room erupts in murmurs, confusion rippling through the crowd. The bailiff moves quickly, unlocking Sarah's cuffs. She rubs her wrists, her calm unbroken, but her eyes meet the Admiral's. Sir, I apologize for the inconvenience, she says, her voice soft yet carrying a strength that silences the chatter. The Admiral's response stops everyone cold. No apology needed, Commander Mitchell. The Navy owes you one. At the word, Commander. The room shifts again. Veterans snap to attention, their respect palpable. The men in suits exchange glances, their plans unraveling. James stares, his mind reeling. Commander, she's military, special ops. The pieces start falling into place. Her precision, her silence, that scar. Judge Pierce, a former JEG officer, stands and nods to the Admiral and Sarah, a rare gesture of deference. Thank you, Your Honor, the Admiral says. Commander Mitchell was acting under classified orders. Discretion was critical. Outside, the courthouse steps are chaos. Reporters shouting, cameras flashing. Sarah, now in civilian clothes brought by the Navy officers, stands beside the Admiral near a black SUV. Sheriff Laura Daniels approaches, her face a mix of frustration and respect. Admiral, my department deserves answers. We treated her like a terrorist. The Admiral's tone is firm but kind. Sheriff, Commander Mitchell is one of our finest. Her assignment is classified, but rest assured, she's no threat. She's a protector. James steps forward, his voice low. Commander, I'm sorry. I didn't know. Sarah meets his eyes, no longer hiding her intensity. You did your job, detective. No apology needed. An old man in a Marine Corps cap shuffles over. Ma'am, I was in Vietnam. I knew you were something special in there. Thank you whatever you do. Sarah shakes his hand, her grip firm. Thank you for your service. The Admiral glances at his watch. Commander, we need to move. Silent Harbor awaits your debrief in Washington. Sheriff Daniels freezes. Silent Harbor. The port attack last year. James catches the name too, his mind racing. That was her. The Admiral remains vague. Commander Mitchell's work is often unseen, but it's vital. As they head to the SUV, something extraordinary happens. The deputies, even those who cuffed her, form a line. Military among them salute as Sarah passes. James watches, a lump in his throat. She wasn't hiding guilt. She was hiding greatness. Back at the range, Tom Bradley locks up for the night. A government vehicle pulls up, and Sarah steps out, her movements now openly precise. No need for disguise. I'm here for my gear, she says. Tom retrieves her case. 20 years in the Navy, he says. I knew you were different. Sarah smiles faintly. Most see what they expect. She assembles her rifle, takes aim at a distant target in the fading light. No scope, no hesitation. The shot's perfect. Tom shakes his head, amazed. You called someone, didn't you? After they took me. An old buddy at the Pentagon, Tom admits. Sarah nods. Thank you. As she drives off, Tom salutes her taillights, knowing he's seen something rare. Back in town, James sits at his desk, replaying the day. His phone rings. Detective Carter, this is Admiral Hayes. Commander Mitchell's receiving a commendation tomorrow at Norfolk. She thought you'd want to be there. James is stunned. Me. Why? Sometimes those who challenge us teach us the most, the Admiral says. James knows he has to go. Tomorrow he'll see the truth of who Sarah Mitchell really is. The naval base at Norfolk hums with quiet purpose, its gates guarded by stone-faced Marines. Detective James Carter drives through, his temporary clearance badge feeling like a ticket to another world. He's escorted to a small auditorium, the room sparse. No press, no fanfare, just 50 people, mostly officers and a few civilians who carry themselves like they've seen things most haven't. James takes a seat in the back, his civilian suit out of place among the uniforms. The ceremony begins and Admiral Hayes steps to the podium. Today, we honor Commander Sarah Mitchell for her role in Operation Silent Harbor. For security, I can only say she spent 11 months undercover, neutralizing a threat to our nation's safety. James leans forward, his heart pounding. 11 months. Undercover. He pictures her in that orange jumpsuit, silent, unbreakable. Sarah steps forward, her Navy uniform adorned with ribbons, her face composed but her eyes alive with a fire he hadn't seen before. She's not the unremarkable woman from the range anymore. She's a warrior, and the room feels it. The Admiral continues. Commander Mitchell graduated top of her class at Coronado, one of the first women to qualify for Naval Special Warfare's elite unit. Her work in Silent Harbor stopped an attack on 3 eastern seaboard ports. An attack that would have killed thousands. James's breath catches. He remembers the news last year. Ports on high alert, a vague story about a thwarted plot. That was her. The Admiral's voice grows solemn. When her cover was at risk, she maintained silence, even when detained, to protect the mission. She chose duty over freedom. James feels a pang of guilt, remembering the cuffs, the interrogation. But Sarah glances his way, her nod subtle but warm, absolving him. The Admiral pins a medal to her chest, and the room stands, applause filling the space. After, James approaches her, his words careful. Commander, congratulations. I had no idea. She shakes his hand, her grip steady. Thank you for coming, Detective. You didn't need to apologize yesterday, and you don't now. Your thoroughness was impressive. He hesitates, then asks, why let us arrest you? Couldn't you have signaled someone? Sarah leads him to a quiet corner. The operation wasn't done. My cover had to hold, even under scrutiny. The targets had eyes in local government, law enforcement. If I'd broken character, 11 months of work would have collapsed. James nods, awed. So you just took it. Sometimes duty means discomfort, she says, a faint smile breaking through. I knew the Admiral would step in before it went too far. Another officer calls her away, and she leaves with a nod. Keep up the good work, Detective. Admiral Hayes appears beside James. Quite a woman, isn't she? James nods. I've never met anyone like her. Few have, the Admiral says. If you ever want a new challenge, my office could use someone with your persistence. James drives back to Harbor Point, the Admiral's words echoing. 6 months later, he's on a naval vessel, the Maine coast fading behind him. After 13 years as a small-town cop, he's joined NCIS, tasked with bridging local law enforcement and special operations. His first case lands on his desk, a report of unusual activity at a private range near their next port. A woman, unremarkable, hitting impossible targets. He smiles, recognizing the pattern. Some things never change. Back at the range, Tom Bradley notices a shift. More visitors, quiet types with skills that don't match their cover stories. He keeps his eyes open, knowing he's part of something bigger now. One evening, Sarah returns, her civilian clothes deliberately plain. Tom, we need the range for 72 hours. Exclusive, he nods, accepting a check that covers months of expenses. I'd have said yes anyway, she smiles. We do things right, even when no one's watching. The range transforms into a command center. Maps, comms, teams moving like ghosts. James arrives, now Agent Carter, coordinating with local police. Sarah briefs the team. We've got a threat within 50 miles. Planning something big in 48 hours. 3 possible sites. We need the right one without tipping them off. James studies the maps. Civilian areas, tricky terrain. We can't just raid them, he says. Exactly, Sarah replies. That's why you're here. The operation unfolds, surveillance teams blending into the town, gathering intel. James works the local angle, feeding cover stories to the sheriff without spilling secrets. Late at night, a breakthrough. Coded signals from a waterfront warehouse. Sarah studies the data. James, this is where it gets messy. We need a law enforcement handoff. He nods, already dialing. I'll brief the tactical team. Minimum details. Foreign operatives, domestic plot, nothing about us. As he steps away, Sarah's focus sharpens, her mind on the mission. James watches her, knowing he's just glimpsed the heart of Silent Harbor. A world where sacrifices are silent, but the stakes are everything. The waterfront warehouse looms in the pre-dawn mist, its rusted walls hiding secrets that could shake the nation. Agent James Carter stands in the command van, now a hub of screens and hushed voices. He's coordinating with the local tactical team, feeding them just enough to move. Foreign operatives, a weapons cache, a ticking clock. His NCIS badge feels new, heavy, but he's found his rhythm, bridging the worlds of small-town law and military precision. Commander Sarah Mitchell watches from a rooftop overwatch, her rifle steady, her comms crackling with updates. This is her element, planning, executing, disappearing. James glances at her through a monitor, marveling at her focus. She's not just leading, she's the mission's heartbeat. The raid begins, swift and clean. Local SWAT moves in, federal agents at their heels, while Sarah's team holds the perimeter, ready to act if things spiral. They don't. 8 arrests, crates of illegal arms, and a laptop full of plans that will keep analysts busy for years. By noon, the warehouse is a crime scene, and Sarah's team is gone, their gear packed into unmarked vans, leaving no trace. James meets with Sheriff Laura Daniels, spinning the official story. A joint sting based on anonymous tips. She buys it, but her eyes linger on him. You've changed, James. This job suits you. He nods, thinking of Sarah, of Silent Harbor, of the world he's now part of. Back at the range, Tom Bradley restores order. Target stands back in place, the chaos of the operation already fading. James finds him sweeping the lanes. Thanks, Tom. For everything. For what? Tom grins. According to the news, I wasn't here. James laughs, grateful for allies like him. As he leaves, Sarah approaches Tom, her civilian guise back in place. If you see anyone else with unique skills, call this number. Tom takes the card, its blank face holding a single phone number. Recruiting. Always, she says. The right people are rare. She drives off, and Tom tucks the card away, knowing his range is more than it seems. A waypoint for those who serve in shadows. Months pass, and James settles into NCIS, crafting protocols to spot operators like Sarah in civilian settings. His encounter with her becomes a training case, shared with coastal police to prevent future mix-ups. One stormy night, a knock interrupts his paperwork. Sarah stands in his doorway, her plainclothes hiding the commander within. Agent Carter, she says, nodding. Didn't expect you back, he replies, gesturing her inside. Your protocols are making waves, she says, sitting. They're helping us stay invisible. He leans forward. Glad to hear it. Why are you here? She slides a folder across his desk. We need you for an operation. Joint Task Force, domestic threats with global ties. You understand both sides, cops and military. James flips through the pages, the scope sinking in. Why me? Because you arrested me and stuck to procedure, even when it felt wrong, she says. Duty over instinct. That's what we need. He meets her eyes, seeing the trust there. When do we start? Tomorrow, 6 a.m., the range. And James, leave the handcuffs home. She leaves, and he stares at the folder, labeled Silent Harbor 2. His life has pivoted again, from detective to agent to something more, a guardian of the line between law and war. The next morning, he arrives at the range before dawn, finding Sarah already there, reviewing maps. Tom greets him, unfazed by the early hour. Told you she'd be back. James smiles, setting up with the team. Sarah briefs them. A new threat. A tighter timeline, civilian cover essential. James takes point on local coordination, his confidence growing. The operation feels familiar, but the stakes are higher, the trust deeper. By night, they've pinpointed a target, a safe house in a quiet suburb. Sarah and James plan the approach, their partnership seamless. As they move out, she catches his eye. Good work, Agent, he nods, knowing this is just the beginning. Back at the range, Tom watches the team disperse, his role as observer cemented. A young shooter arrives the next day, her skills too polished for her college. Team cover story. Tom spots the tells, wind adjustments, efficient movements. That evening, he dials Sarah's number. Blue water, still horizon, he says, using the code. Go ahead. Got someone interesting today, he says. Female, early 20s, expert marksman, operational patterns. A pause. We'll check it out. Is Sarah still active? Another pause. That name's not in our database. Tom smiles, understanding. Her legacy lives, even if her name doesn't. 3 days later, the young shooter returns with a mentor, a man with quiet authority. He thanks Tom for the call. She's an assessment candidate. You spotted her in an hour. Tom shrugs. Some things you can't hide. The man hands him a new card, this one with a Naval Special Warfare seal. We need observers like you. Tom considers it, his quiet retirement now a front for something greater. As they leave, he knows Sarah's work continues, her influence rippling through those she's touched. The Harbor Point shooting range sits quiet under a gray dawn, its target still, the air heavy with the promise of rain. Tom Bradley unlocks the gate, his routine unchanged, but his purpose transformed. Since Sarah Mitchell's arrest and the operations that followed, this place has become more than a range. It's a crossroads for those who move unseen, a safe harbor for skills too sharp to stay hidden. Today, a package waits on his desk, a high-end spotting scope with thermal imaging and an encrypted comms module. The note inside reads, "Keep watching, Tom." He recognizes Sarah's handwriting, though she's long gone, her name erased from active records. He installs the gear, understanding its true role. He's not just a range manager anymore, he's a sentinel, guarding a hidden network. A young woman arrives mid-morning, her rifle case unassuming, her demeanor polite but guarded. She sets up at the farthest lane, her shots precise, her adjustments instinctive. Tom watches, noting the same tells he saw in Sarah. Wind corrections without tools, movements too efficient for a civilian. She logs her results in a notebook, her cover story about a college team plausible but thin. He approaches casual, nice shooting. Military. Just practice, she says, her smile practiced. Tom nods, letting her think she's blended in. That evening, he dials the number from the new card, the Naval Special Warfare seal glinting in the lamplight. Blue water, still horizon. Go ahead. Got another one, he says. Early 20s female, elite marksmanship, operational habits. A pause? Assessment. Either she's yours or she needs to be. Tom replies, we'll handle it. Anything else? Tom hesitates. Just keep the range on your map. It's done right by you. Noted. The call ends and Tom leans back, the weight of his role settling in. 3 days later, the young woman returns with a man, middle-aged, authoritative, a mentor. They shoot together, their dynamic clear. The man approaches Tom. Mr. Bradley, you made a call. Good eyes. She's a candidate, testing her cover here. Tom nods. She's got skills, but the tells give her away. The man smiles. That's why we need you. He hands Tom an envelope, payment for his silence, his vigilance. Inside is a contract, an offer to formalize his role as an observer for special operations. Tom tucks it away, considering a deeper commitment. Agent James Carter, now a seasoned NCIS liaison, visits the range a week later, his suit replaced by tactical gear. Tom, we've got a new protocol thanks to you and Sarah. Fewer mix-ups with operators in the field. Tom grins. Just doing my part. James nods, his eyes scanning the lanes. She's still out there, isn't she? Not in the database, but out there. Tom doesn't answer, but his silence says enough. James leaves, called to a new case, but the range stays with him. A place where the ordinary masks the extraordinary. Months pass, and Tom notices more candidates. Young men and women, their skills subtle but unmistakable. He reports a few, each call reinforcing the network Sarah built. One evening, a familiar figure appears at the range's edge, her silhouette blending with the dusk. Sarah, in civilian clothes, her presence a surprise. Didn't expect you back, Tom says, his voice warm. Plans change, she replies, handing him a small device. A signal jammer, untraceable. For the next time, she says. He nods, understanding. You're not in the database anymore. She smiles faintly. Some of us never are. They talk briefly, her words measured but genuine. You've made this place vital, Tom. Keep it safe. As she leaves, he calls after her. Was it all real? The arrest? The courtroom? Or just part of the plan? She turns, her eyes glinting. Sometimes the best way to hide is to let people see what they expect. Tom laughs softly. You'd have made a hell of an operator, he says. I'm happy here, he adds, gesturing to the range. Someone's got to keep the lights on for people like you. Sarah nods, then disappears into the night. Tom locks up, the new scope humming faintly, its purpose clear. He's part of something bigger now, a quiet guardian of those who guard the nation. The range, once just a business, is a legacy, a testament to Sarah's work, to the sacrifices no one sees. He thinks of James, out there bridging worlds, and the young shooters yet to come. Some serve in the open, their names on plaques. Others, like Sarah, vanish, their victories unwritten. Tom's role is simpler but no less vital. He watches, he listens, he keeps the way clear, and in that, he finds his own kind of peace. The Harbor Point Range lies still under a starlit sky, its silence a canvas for stories untold. Tom Bradley stands at the gate, the weight of his new role both heavy and grounding. Sarah Mitchell, commander or ghost, has left a mark, not just on him but on this place, on James, on a network that thrives in shadows. Her work, like that of countless others, isn't carved in stone or sung in songs. It's etched in moments, ports kept safe, lives untouched by chaos, threats silenced before they scream. Tom thinks of the young shooters, their skills a quiet promise of protection. He thinks of James, carrying Sarah's lessons into a new fight. And he thinks of himself, once just a Navy vet running a range, now a keeper of secrets, a watcher for those who can't be seen. There's peace in that, a calm that settles deep. The world spins on, unaware of the hands that steady it, and maybe that's the point. Some truths don't need to be shouted. They're felt in the safety of a quiet morning, in the freedom to live without fear. So here's to the unseen, the ones who ask for nothing but give everything, and to those like Tom, who hold the line in their own small way, ensuring the light stays on for those who need it most.